I still remember the night everything changed. The night that tore my heart open, and then stitched it back together in the most unexpected way. It began at what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, my wedding. The hall was glowing with lights, laughter, and music. Guests were dancing, glasses clinked, and the smell of roses filled the air. Everyone smiled at us, me, the groom, and the woman I thought was my forever. But beneath the glitter, something was already broken. I noticed it when I reached into my pocket for the ring. My heart dropped. It wasn't there. At first, I thought it was nerves. Maybe I misplaced it, maybe I left it in the dressing room. But no. I searched again. Empty. I panicked. This ring wasn't just jewelry. It was everything I had worked for, saved for, dreamed of. White platinum, gold, and a diamond that had cost me months of sacrifice. It was a symbol of eternal love, or so I believed. I whispered to my bride, "The ring, it's gone." Her eyes narrowed for just a second, and in that flicker I thought I saw relief. But before I could process it, she smiled for the crowd, squeezing my hand as though nothing was wrong. And then, something caught my eye. A flicker of movement under the long white tablecloth at the back of the hall. A shadow. A shape. My chest tightened. I stepped closer, ignoring the murmurs around me. I bent down, lifted the cloth, and froze. There was a girl. Her hair was messy, her clothes old and torn, her eyes wide with fear. She looked nothing like the guests, nothing like she belonged. "What are you doing here?" I whispered, shocked. She bit her lip, clutching something tightly in her hand. My heart skipped. I saw it, the glint of my ring. The guests gasped. My bride's voice sliced through the air, sharp and cold. "She stole it." The girl's lips trembled. She shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "No. I didn't mean. I just..." Before she could finish, I felt something deep inside me shift. Her eyes, sad, desperate, but honest, didn't look like a thief's eyes. They looked like someone carrying a secret, someone who had lost too much already. I reached out slowly. "Give it to me." Her hand trembled as she opened her palm. There it was. The ring I had thought was gone forever. I should have been angry. I should have called security. But instead, I felt curious. "Why?" I asked softly. She looked away. "Because someone told me to." I frowned. "Who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered something that made my stomach twist. "I sold my hair to buy food. I have nothing. Not even a place to sleep. But her eyes darted to my bride, she paid me to take this. To make you doubt. To make you hurt." The world seemed to tilt beneath me. My ears rang. My bride gasped, her face pale. "She's lying. She's trying to ruin us." But deep down, I knew. The pieces fit together too perfectly. The missing ring. The strange relief in her eyes earlier. And now this. I looked at the homeless girl again. She held herself small, as though she expected me to yell, to push her away, to hate her. But all I felt was a strange pull. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. Her eyes glistened with tears. "Because you deserve to know the truth. Even if it costs me everything." And in that moment, I realized something. This girl, who had nothing, had given me more honesty in a single minute than the woman I was about to marry had in years. The music stopped. The whispers grew. My bride's face twisted with rage, but I no longer cared. I helped the girl to her feet. Her hand was warm in mine, trembling but strong. I slipped the ring back into my pocket, my decision already made. "I don't know who you are," I whispered, "but somehow I believe you." She looked at me, shocked. "Why?" I swallowed hard, my voice low but steady. "Because when I look at you, I don't see lies. And with that, the life I thought I knew, the life of glitter, promises, and perfect smiles, shattered. But in the cracks, something new, something raw and real, began to grow. That was the night I lost everything I thought I wanted. And the night I found the girl who would change my life forever. When I walked out of the wedding hall that night, everything inside me felt like it was collapsing. The whispers of betrayal still echoed in my ears. Guests were staring, my ex-bride was furious, and yet I didn't care. What mattered wasn't the lost celebration, it was the girl who had told me the truth. She stood a few steps away from the glowing lights of the hall, small and fragile under the cold night sky. Her thin sweater barely protected her from the wind. She hugged herself, as if trying to disappear into the shadows. I walked toward her slowly. She flinched, like a stray cat expecting to be kicked away. "You didn't have to tell me," I said softly. She looked at the ground. "Yes, I did. You needed to know. People like me, we don't have much, but honesty is all I can give." Her words hit me like a punch to the chest. Honesty. Something I thought I had with the woman I almost married, but now I realized I had been blind. My stomach growled loudly, breaking the heavy silence. She smiled faintly, the first hint of light I had seen on her face. "You should eat. Weddings usually have good food, right?" I chuckled bitterly. "I don't think I'm welcome there anymore." Her smile faded. "I'm sorry. This is my fault. I ruined everything for you." I shook my head quickly. "No. You didn't ruin anything. You saved me." She blinked, confused. "Saved you?" "Yes. If you hadn't told me the truth, I would have spent my life with a woman who only saw me as a wallet, not a man." I sighed, running my hand through my hair. "But now I don't know what comes next." We sat down on a cold bench outside the hall. People were still laughing inside, music drifting faintly through the walls, but out here it was just the two of us. "Do you have anywhere to go?" I asked gently. She hesitated, then shook her head. "No. I sleep, wherever I can. Parks, under bridges, sometimes behind restaurants if they don't chase me away." Her voice was calm, almost too calm, like this life had become normal for her. That broke me inside. "Have you eaten today?" I asked. She smiled sadly. "A piece of bread. Yesterday's leftovers. That's enough for me." I frowned. "That's not enough. Come with me. Let's get dinner." Her eyes widened in panic. She shook her head quickly. "No. No, I can't. People like me, we don't belong in restaurants. I'll just embarrass you. Everyone will stare. They always stare." The way she said it, like she had already lived through that shame 100 times, made my chest ache. "I don't care what people think," I said firmly. "If you're hungry, you deserve to eat like everyone else." But she kept shaking her head, her eyes filling with tears. "Please, don't make me. I can't stand the looks, the whispers. I'd rather sit here. On this bench. It's where I belong." Her voice broke on the last word, and I felt anger, not at her, but at the world. A world that made her believe she didn't deserve something as simple as dignity. I sat in silence for a moment, staring at the glowing restaurant across the street. Then an idea sparked in my head, crazy, daring, maybe even stupid. But it felt right. I stood up suddenly. "Fine. If you won't come to the restaurant," I grinned. "Then the restaurant will come to you." She blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" I didn't answer. Instead, I marched across the street, into the restaurant. The staff looked at me oddly. After all, I was still wearing my ruined tuxedo, no bride in sight, but I ignored them. I ordered food. The best they had. Steak, pasta, soup, desserts, even a bottle of wine. When the waiter asked where to send it, I pointed out the window. "That bench. Out there." He stared like I was insane. Maybe I was. But within minutes, the waiters followed me outside, balancing trays and plates, setting them down carefully on the wooden bench between us. People passing by stopped to stare. Cars slowed down. And there she sat, the homeless girl who had nothing, staring at the feast with wide eyes. What are you doing?" she whispered, her hands trembling. I sat down beside her, picked up a fork, and smiled. "Having dinner. With you." Her lips parted, but no words came out. Tears shimmered in her eyes as she whispered, "Everyone is watching." "Good," I said softly. "Let them watch. They should see what real beauty looks like." She gasped, her cheeks turning pink. "Me? Beautiful?" She laughed bitterly. "I'm dirty, I'm poor, I sold my hair for food." "I'm not." I reached out, gently taking her hand. "You're honest. You're kind. You're stronger than anyone I know. That's beauty." Her tears fell then, silent and fragile. She lifted her fork with trembling fingers and took a small bite of pasta. The way she closed her eyes, savoring it, broke my heart even more. For the first time in who knows how long, she was eating without fear. Without shame. And as the world passed us by, staring at the strange couple having a feast on a cold wooden bench, I didn't feel embarrassed. I didn't feel out of place. I felt alive. That night wasn't about expensive rings or grand weddings. It was about a girl who had nothing, and somehow gave me everything I didn't even know I needed. I didn't sleep that night. After the feast on the bench, after the laughter that turned into quiet tears, I walked her to a small bus stop nearby. The air was chilly, the streetlights flickering above us. She curled up on the wooden bench, hugging her knees, as if it were the softest bed in the world. I couldn't just leave her there. Something inside me refused. But when I offered to take her to a hotel, she shook her head violently. "No. Too many rules. Too many eyes." "I'm fine here," she whispered. "Fine." The word stabbed me. How could she believe this was fine? Sleeping outside in the cold, with nothing but the hard bench under her fragile body. I sat beside her until her breathing slowed, until her head rested gently on her knees and she slipped into uneasy sleep. Only then did I leave, but not far. I stayed at a cafe across the street all night, watching, making sure no one bothered her. The next morning, as the first rays of sun crept over the horizon, I walked back. She was awake, rubbing her eyes. Her hair was messy, her sweater even thinner in the light. Yet when she saw me, she smiled shyly. "You stayed nearby, didn't you?" I nodded. "Of course. I wasn't going to let you face the night alone." Her eyes softened, but then she looked away. "You don't understand. This is normal for me. I've been living like this for a long time." I sat down next to her. "Then help me understand. Tell me how you ended up here." For a moment, I thought she wouldn't answer. She hugged her knees tighter, her voice trembling. "I used to have a family. A small one. Just me and my mom. She worked hard, 2 jobs sometimes, just to keep food on the table. She was all I had. And then, she got sick. Really sick." Her voice cracked, and my chest tightened. "We didn't have insurance. No savings. The bills piled up. I tried to help, I really did, but I was just a kid. When she passed away, I lost everything. The apartment was gone. I had nowhere to go." Her eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back fiercely. "I ended up on the streets. At first, I thought it would be temporary. I'd find work, rent a small room, rebuild. But no one wanted to hire someone with no address, no proper clothes. And slowly, I got used to it. The hunger. The cold. The looks of disgust. I felt anger burning inside me. Anger at a world where someone like her could fall through the cracks so easily. "And the ring?" I asked softly. She looked down, shame filling her eyes. That woman you were going to marry, she found me one day. She offered me money to do something terrible. To get close to you, to trick you. I didn't want to, but I was desperate. She promised food, a little cash. Enough to survive. Her voice broke completely now. But when I met you, when I saw how kind you were, I couldn't do it. I couldn't lie to you. That's why I told you the truth. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I'm sorry. I was weak. I hated myself for even agreeing. I reached out, gently lifting her chin so her eyes met mine. You didn't betray me. You saved me. If anything, you're stronger than anyone I know. She stared at me, searching for disbelief in my face. But all I felt was admiration. You're not weak, I whispered. You're still standing. After everything you've been through, you're still here. That's not weakness. That's strength. And for the first time, she let herself cry, really cry, in my arms. The days that followed were a blur of strange routines. Every morning, I brought her breakfast. Sometimes from a cafe, sometimes fresh fruit from a street market. She always protested, saying I was spending too much on her, but her protests were weak compared to the way her eyes lit up when she tasted something warm. We spent hours just walking. Parks, busy streets, quiet corners of the city. She showed me places I'd never noticed before, alleys painted with hidden murals, spots where the homeless gathered to share food, benches that felt safer than others. It was like she lived in a world invisible to everyone else. And through it all, I listened. I listened to her stories, her dreams, her fears. I used to want to be a teacher, she told me one afternoon, her eyes sparkling for the first time since I met her. I loved books. I wanted to teach kids who grew up like me, so they'd know they were worth something. Why not still try? I asked. She laughed bitterly. Look at me. Who would hire a homeless girl with nothing? I can't even afford a notebook, let alone college. Her words stung, but they also lit a fire inside me. That night, I lay awake in my apartment, thinking about her. About her strength, her honesty, her quiet dreams buried under the weight of survival. And for the first time in years, I felt like my money that once seemed so important, was useless unless I used it to change something. The next day, I surprised her. Come with me, I said, grinning. Where? She asked warily. You'll see. I took her to a clothing store. The moment we walked in, she froze, her eyes wide. No. I can't. These things are too expensive. I don't belong here. I shook my head firmly. You do. And you're not leaving until you pick something you love. Tears welled in her eyes. She touched the soft fabric of a dress, almost like she was afraid it would disappear. For hours, we tried on clothes. At first, she resisted, embarrassed, but slowly laughter broke through. She twirled in front of the mirror, the girl who once hid under benches now glowing in colors she never thought she'd wear. When we stepped out of the store, bags in her hands, she looked at me with shining eyes. Why are you doing this for me? She whispered. I smiled softly. Because you deserve it. Because you showed me the truth when no one else would. And because, I hesitated, my heart racing. Because you matter to me. Her breath caught. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, as if the words were too heavy to say. But I saw it in her eyes, gratitude, fear, and maybe something more. That night, she didn't sleep on a bench. She stayed in a small guest room at my apartment. At first, she resisted again, worried about burdening me. But when I promised it was her space, her safe place, she finally agreed. As I watched her curl up under the blanket, safe and warm for the first time in so long, I realized something. This wasn't just about saving her anymore. She was saving me, too. Saving me from a life of emptiness, of shallow love, of meaningless wealth. For the first time, I felt like my life had a purpose. And that purpose was sitting right there, asleep under my roof, the homeless girl who had made me rich, not with money, but with something far greater. I thought things were finally changing. For the first time in weeks, she wasn't sleeping on a bench or curling into herself against the night wind. She had a room, a bed, and peace. I thought the shadows had left us. But the past has a cruel way of finding you, even when you're trying to build something new. It began one morning with a sharp knock at my door. When I opened it, 2 officers stood there, stern-faced. Behind them, her. My ex-fiancée. Dressed perfectly, her lipstick as sharp as her words. "That's her," she said, pointing over my shoulder. "That's the girl who stole my ring." I felt my blood run cold. The officer stepped forward. "Sir, we need to ask the young woman inside a few questions." I turned back. She was standing in the hallway, trembling, her hands clutching the edge of her sweater. Fear filled her eyes, the kind of fear that only someone who's lived on the streets knows, the fear that no one will believe her, that the world is already against her. "She didn't steal anything," I said firmly, blocking the doorway. "That ring was mine. I gave it to her." But my ex smirked, pulling out a printed photo on her phone. It showed her wearing the ring, weeks before. "He's lying. This was my engagement ring. She seduced him, tricked him, and took it." "Arrest her." The officers hesitated. They looked at me, then at her, then back at my ex. And in that moment, I realized how fragile everything was. One accusation. One lie. And her whole world could shatter. "No," my voice shook with anger. "She's telling the truth. You set her up. You paid her to break us apart, didn't you? Do you want me to show the messages you sent me, the receipts I still have? Do you want me to tell them how you lied to me, stole from me, and then tried to frame her?" For a moment, silence. My ex's face twisted with rage. "You'll regret this." The officers exchanged a look. "We'll need to investigate further," one said carefully. They didn't arrest her that day, but the damage was done. She was shaking for hours afterward, unable to even drink the tea I set in front of her. "I told you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "People like me don't get believed. They see a homeless girl, and they assume the worst. I'll always be that girl under the table to them." I sat down beside her, taking her hand gently. "Not to me. To me, you're the bravest person I've ever met. And I won't let anyone take that away from you." But deep inside, I knew this wasn't over. The past wasn't done with us yet. After the confrontation, something shifted between us. She tried to pull away, insisting that I shouldn't get involved in her mess. That I should just let her go, that I didn't deserve the burden of her problems. But the more she pushed me away, the more I wanted to hold her close. One night, after hours of silence, I finally spoke. "Do you think I care about any of that? About the accusations? About what people think? I don't. All I care about is you." She stared at me, her eyes wide, searching my face for lies. But there were none. I'd never been so certain of anything. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I've done things I'm not proud of. I've lied. I've taken food I didn't pay for. I even kissed men for money once, because I was starving. I'm not the girl you think I am." Her confession sliced through me. But not the way she thought. Not with disgust or judgment. With pain for all the things she had been forced to do just to survive. I reached out, cupping her face gently. "You did what you had to do to live. That doesn't make you unworthy of love. It makes you human. And if anything, it makes me admire you more. Because despite everything, you're still standing. You're still you." Her tears spilled over then, hot against my fingers. "Why are you saying these things?" she asked through sobs. "Because it's the truth," I whispered. That night, something changed. She let me hold her, really hold her, as if she finally believed she was safe. Her walls, built so high over years of pain, began to crumble. And in their place, something fragile but beautiful began to grow. Love. Not the shallow kind I thought I had before. Not the kind that fades when the money runs out or the beauty changes. But the kind that survives hunger, betrayal, and cold nights on a bench. In the days that followed, I noticed the little things. The way she hummed softly when she thought no one was listening. The way her smile could light up the darkest corner of a room. The way she always offered me half her food, even though I knew she was still hungry. She had nothing, yet she gave everything. And I realized then, I wasn't just helping her. She was helping me, too. She was teaching me how to live, how to love, how to see the world through eyes that found beauty in the simplest things. One evening, as we sat on the balcony watching the city lights flicker below, I turned to her. I don't care about the ring. I don't care about the lies of the past. I only care about the future. And I want that future to be with you. She gasped softly, her eyes filling with tears. You can't mean that, she whispered. I do. You made me rich, not with money, but with something far more valuable. With you. And before she could argue, I leaned in and kissed her. This time, it wasn't out of desperation or survival. It was love. Pure, undeniable love. I thought things were finally settling down. She was laughing again, her smile lighting up corners of my apartment that had once felt cold and empty. I was finally sleeping without nightmares, knowing she was safe. But peace never lasts long when someone is determined to destroy it. It started with a phone call. The number was unknown, but the voice was familiar. Cold. Sharp. Poison wrapped in silk. Enjoying your charity case? My ex sneered. You think you found love with that girl? She's nothing but a thief. A parasite. And I'm going to prove it. I clenched the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. Stay away from us. She laughed, a sound I had once mistaken for beautiful. Oh, I'm not going anywhere. In fact, I've already made some calls. Soon the whole world will know what she really is. Before I could reply, the line went dead. That evening, 2 police officers came knocking again. This time, they weren't polite. They had a warrant to search my apartment. I looked at her, she was pale, shaking. It's okay, I whispered, though my own heart was pounding. We have nothing to hide. But as the officers searched, one of them pulled a small velvet box from under the couch. Inside, another ring. Expensive. Shiny. And not mine. She gasped, covering her mouth. That's not mine, I've never seen it before. The officer's eyes narrowed. Sir, are you saying this doesn't belong to you either? My chest tightened. It was clear what was happening. She had planted it. My ex. She was trying to frame her again, make her look like the thief she wasn't. I wanted to scream, to grab the ring and throw it into the street. But I forced myself to stay calm. That's a setup, I said firmly. Check the prints. You'll see hers aren't on it. The officer hesitated. We'll take it in for evidence. When they finally left, she collapsed onto the couch, her face buried in her hands. She's going to ruin me, she whispered. I told you, people like me don't win. They'll always believe her over me. I knelt in front of her, lifting her chin so she would look at me. Her eyes were red, filled with tears that broke my heart. You're not alone anymore, I said softly. She can try to trap you, but she'll have to go through me first. And I promise you, I will never let her win. But in my heart, I knew this was just the beginning. The storm came faster than I expected. The next morning, headlines exploded online. Someone had leaked photos of her, sleeping on benches, digging through trash, sitting on sidewalks with her knees tucked to her chest. Alongside them were cruel captions, thief in disguise? Rich man falls for street rat. She saw them before I could stop her. Her hands trembled as she scrolled, her face pale. They're laughing at me, she whispered. Calling me disgusting. Calling me a liar. How am I supposed to live like this? I grabbed the phone, tossing it aside. You don't live for them. You live for you. For us. But the damage was done. She pulled away from me, wrapping her arms around herself like armor. I can't stay here, she said, her voice cracking. If I stay, I'll ruin you too. You'll lose everything because of me. I felt panic rise in my chest. No. Don't you understand? You are everything. Without you, I have nothing. She shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. I don't deserve you. I wanted to argue, to fight, to hold her until she believed me. But before I could speak, there was another knock at the door. This one louder. Harder. When I opened it, the police were back. And this time, they had handcuffs. Sir, one of them said, we have to take her in for questioning. The ring from yesterday tested positive for her prints. My world shattered. That's impossible. I shouted. She didn't touch it. But she didn't fight. She didn't scream. She just stood up slowly, her eyes dead with resignation. It's okay, she whispered to me. Maybe this is where it ends. No, I choked out, grabbing her hand as they tried to take her. This isn't the end. I'll fight for you. I swear I'll prove you're innocent. For the first time since I met her, she smiled through her tears. Soft. Broken. But real. You made me rich with love, she whispered. Don't waste it. And then, they took her away. I stood frozen in the doorway, my chest aching, my world collapsing. But deep down, beneath the fear and despair, something stronger began to burn. Rage. Determination. I wasn't going to lose her, not to lies, not to cruelty, not to the shadows of her past. If I had to fight the whole world to prove her innocence, then so be it. Because she wasn't just the homeless girl anymore. She was my everything. I couldn't sleep the night they took her away. Her empty spot on the couch felt like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. Every second without her, my chest ached. I knew she was sitting alone in some cold cell, probably thinking I had already given up on her. But I hadn't. I couldn't. The next morning, I stormed into the station with every ounce of strength I had left. Where is she? I demanded. The officer looked at me with pity. Sir, she's being processed. There's evidence. Evidence that was planted. I cut him off. You're protecting the wrong person. The real thief is still out there. My ex-fiancé. He sighed. If you want to help her, get a lawyer. Fast. And I did. I sold my watch, drained my savings, and hired the best defense attorney I could find. I didn't care about money anymore. Money couldn't hold me at night. Money couldn't make me laugh. Money couldn't heal my broken heart. But she could. The day of the hearing, I saw her walk in, wrists bound in cold steel. My chest tightened at the sight of her. She looked so small, so fragile, but when her eyes found mine across the courtroom, something inside me reignited. She still didn't believe she deserved me. I could see it in her trembling lips, in the way she wouldn't meet my gaze for long. But I believed in her. Enough for both of us. When the judge asked for statements, I stood up. My voice shook, but I refused to back down. This girl, I said, pointing toward her, isn't a criminal. She's a survivor. She's given up everything, her comfort, her pride, even her hair, to help others. The only reason she's here is because my ex-fiancé wanted revenge. The prosecutor smirked. Do you have proof of this so-called setup? I swallowed hard. Then I played the recording. Yes. The recording. I had found it the night before, on my old security camera. The footage showed my ex sneaking into my apartment with a duplicate key and sliding the velvet box under the couch. The room went silent. The judge leaned forward, studying the video. The jury whispered among themselves. My ex's face turned pale as paper. And when my girl looked at me, her eyes widened. For the first time, she saw what I already knew. She wasn't a burden. She wasn't worthless. She was worth fighting for. The judge banged the gavel. Case dismissed. Defendant is free to go. I exhaled a breath I didn't realize I was holding as they unlocked her cuffs. When she walked toward me, her hands trembling, I opened my arms wide. And she fell into them like she was finally coming home. Life after the trial felt like sunlight after endless rain. She moved in with me officially, though she still felt nervous the first few nights. I caught her sleeping on the floor once, curled up like she had on the street. My chest ached, but I carried her gently to the bed and whispered, "You never have to sleep on the ground again." Slowly, she began to believe it. She laughed more. She started cooking with me, even though she burned the rice the first 3 times. She looked in the mirror with her short hair growing back and smiled shyly. "Maybe I don't look so bad after all," she whispered. To me, she was the most beautiful woman in the world. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in gold, I took her hand. "You once told me people like you don't belong in restaurants, or in love. But you were wrong." She blinked at me, confused. "What do you mean?" I pulled out the same ring she had sacrificed her hair for. The symbol of love she thought wasn't meant for her. Her hands flew to her mouth as tears filled her eyes. "I don't care where you came from," I said softly. "I don't care about your past. All I care about is our future. Will you marry me?" For a moment, she couldn't speak. Her tears rolled freely, her body shaking with sobs. Then she nodded, whispering, "Yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes." The crowd in the park around us clapped and cheered, but I only saw her. The girl who had walked into my life from the shadows and turned my world upside down. I had thought she was the one who needed saving. But in truth, she had saved me. Because love isn't about wealth, or status, or perfection. It's about finding someone who makes you feel alive. And with her by my side, I wasn't just rich. I was the richest man alive. Thank you for watching this emotional love story on the Love Chapter by Aree. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories. Tell us in the comments which country or place you are watching from. We'd love to know where our family of viewers is growing around the world.